These types of clients that will ruin your cash flow. This is what we get into in this video. The type of clients that will drain your cash flow, they will run your business to a wreck. These are the clients that you need to consider. Do you have them in your business? How are you going to handle them? What is the decision that you're going to make concerning continuing with these clients? And it can be a tough decision because a lot of times you're building relationships with your clients, there are emotions involved. It's not easy. However, at least knowing that these clients exist in your business opens your eyes as a business owner, the CEO, to know that, okay, this is something we have to discuss, have that conversation with them, depending on how hard it is, depending on the relationship that you have with them, the level of the relationship. This is what we dive into in this video, clients that will ruin your cash flow. I am Kersha Campbell. I do help everyday business owners who are frustrated, overwhelmed, anxious, just tired about what's happening in their business, the state of their business operations. So there's financial chaos. You're not able to focus on the numbers or keep your records accurate, keep them current. You are behind with perhaps filing some of your tax returns. You are having monies leaking from your business. So there's more monies leaving your business than coming into your business. And it's just like chaos, chaos, chaos. So I partner with you as a business owner to turn all that around to, see more structure, effective systems being set up, recession proof systems and processes, and of course, more cash in your bank account and building a business of value, and so much more. Let's dive into those clients who will ruin your cash flow. Number one, the clients who do not pay on time. Yes, you have some clients, and I'm not. Let me quickly add that these examples we're going to discuss, they're not about one-off situations. This is like a practice. It's become a routine. It's no longer just a one-off situation. It's now a lifestyle, how they operate. And again, it can be done for various reasons. However, it is impacting your business negatively. So one, they do not pay on time. What do we mean by that? So you send them their invoice, you might say it's due to be paid in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and let's say a year later you're still not getting the payment, or they've paid a part and you have a lot of outstanding, and you have this back and forth battle. You need to pay. So it's draining you emotionally. It's using up your time or the time of your team members, and time is very expensive as business owners. We do know that as entrepreneurs, CEOs, and you know, business owners, time is like the most valuable thing, resource that you have. Your time, your time, your time. So they are constantly not paying on time. These are the clients. It's a definite red flag. You need to decide what will the decision be. Is there a way you can set up a system to have automatic withdrawals from their account? Is it that you need to stop providing those services or supplying those products until they catch up with their payment? A decision has to be made in terms of how you're going to handle going forward with these clients, because money's not in your bank account are monies that you could have been using to do so many things in your business. And a lot of times it's not only that you're not getting the money on time, but the time value of money. So a dollar today is not worth a dollar like later on, like even a year later, right? With inflation and all the other changes, interest rates in our economy. So you need to ensure that you are being paid on time. So if you're in a situation where you do have clients who are not paying you on time, definitely take that time, start having that conversation with them, right? It doesn't mean you might have to sever ties immediately. However, it's worthwhile having that conversation with them and find out how you can move forward amicable, how you can move forward to ensure that they are paying on time. How can you support them to ensure that they will start paying on time? Sometimes it could be just a conversation that you need to have to help them with what's happening on their side of the world. It might be various struggles, various reasons. So reach out to them to have that conversation of how you can turn things around for sure. Number two, clients that add scope add additional work to the original scope that was agreed on. So you might have agreed to do one, two, three, four, five, six items. However, with a lot of discussion and back and forth, before you know it, you're doing 9, 10, 11 additional items that were not a part of your original contract. Those are clients to be aware of. And it a lot of times it does depend. It could be that these things are added on might not be very costly. It's you just okay, I'll do this. However, pay attention, because when it comes to a situation where you are having to do additional work, get additional team, it's probably delaying the original project line. It could also be that this was just not what you planned for. You don't have the resources, the material. So it's on you now to source these additional items, do that, and they don't want to pay you, right? So it's one thing to change the scope and be willing to pay. However, the clients that I'm talking about are the ones where they don't want to pay additional monies and they want additional scope to be carried out, scope of duty, scope of services. They might say, okay, I ordered 10 items, but throw in another two, and they don't want to pay for that extra. Those are getting a little tongue tied. Those are another set of clients you need to be wary of, right? Those clients will drain your cash flow, because what is happening is that these clients, they are, yes, good, not saying they're really bad, but these additional scope of items and products or services that are not being paid for cost you. There's always a cost, right? So if they're not paying, who is feeling that cost? You as the business owner. You might have to get additional team members, pay longer hours for work. The scope varies. So that's another set of clients you need to be aware of. They will drain your cash flow, and a lot of times it's not even something, it can be done unintentionally, but you have to just be paying attention as that business owner, as that CEO, or your team has to be very alert of these additional items creeping into the original, being added on to the original scope that was agreed on when it comes to your project, your services. So you want to definitely be aware of these situations and be positioned to handle it, right? You need to have a written, I suggest definitely having a written manual, or it being clearly understood by your team members, because a lot of times you might not be on the ground being aware of what's happening. So definitely you need to ensure that your team members are aware of this, and there's a process. Is it that if there's any change in scope at all, there needs to be a change in the contract? Is it that it depends on a cost? Or from all these things, you have to decide how is it that you're going to be handling changes in the scope of work, additional changes to the additional scope of work that was agreed upon. So that is another way in which definitely your cash flow can be depleted, and you want to be mindful of this as a business owner. You want to be ensuring that you are aware of what's happening, and there are steps to handle these situations when they come upon you. For sure, you want to do that. Another kind of client you want to be aware of are clients who are constantly disrespectful to you, yourself, and your team. And you might think that, how does that impact your cash flow? Yes, because the fact that these clients are constantly disrespectful, they're constantly, toxic, draining in so many different ways, it's affecting your emotional state, your team's emotional state of mind. It's affecting your performance. You might have a huge blow up on the phone or something, and it's like you're out of operation, or it just throws you off balance for like a few hours. That's lost time, lost productive time there for yourself or your team members. So you need to be able to draw the line. I know some employers, some persons, some business owners, they are very strict with that. Like if it's a case where this client is being abusive, disrespectful to themselves or any of their team members, just at strike one, the first time they sever ties, right? So you need to decide what will be your approach when that happens? Will you decide on a case by case basis? Will there be a warning? What will you do as a business owner when this happens? What will your team do? What are they expected to do? How are they expected to handle this, right? Are you going to say this up front from the beginning of the contract that any disrespectful behavior, any abusive behavior will not be tolerated, will sever ties immediately? Perhaps also give some examples. What are disrespectful behavior? Shouting, expletives. What is it going to be? So that there's that clear understanding. There's no ambiguity about what is expected and how things are supposed to be managed. And again, it does affect your emotional state of mind, your mental health. And when you have those down times, it really impacts your productivity as humans, right? And I do know that some persons might be in a state where they're able to ignore it, but not everybody might be at that level, right? We're all humans, and if somebody's gonna be very disrespectful to us, yes, it's gonna impact us. We're gonna, it's gonna impact how we feel, and we might eventually brush it off after a while. But just think about, just those low points and just setting those boundaries. So ensure that that is clear when it comes to yourself and your team members and also your clients. The other type of client we'll talk about are those who constantly want to, have discounts. And that's it's a sensitive area, discounts, because yes, persons are, sometimes you're in a position where you need that sale, right? And it's like, okay, I'll just do the job for half the price because I need to get that cash flow in. However, you need to be examining the overall picture. Is it really worth it? You're doing the job for half the price, you're getting that cash in. Probably they might say, I'll pay you in a quicker time. However, what is the real cost to you? What is the real profit on that job? So, for example, if the usual price of the job is, I'm just throwing in some figures here, if the usual cost of the job is like $1,000 and you decide, okay, I'm just gonna take $500, what is the cost of that job? That is something, before you even decide to do it for that, what is the cost of that job? If the cost of that job, for example, is $700, yes, you're getting that $500 right away in sales. However, you're still draining your cash flow because the job has cost you more than the sale price of the job. So before you quickly accept those discounted contracts, explore the profitability of the contract. What's going to be the impact on your cash flow when you accept this job, right? Think about all the costs that are involved: material, supplies, labor, insurance. All these costs will be impacting the job. So you want to be sure that you are not bleeding cash flow, not losing cash flow by accepting these discounted jobs. And I know it can be tempting, especially in an environment where you're strapped for cash. You need the monies to come in. It can be tight. You're wondering what's the next step. I really need this to keep going. It's a tough call. It really is a tough call. However, think about it and decide, is this really worth doing, for the longer term? It's gonna cost you. You're still gonna be out in the red. And I'm always going back to the numbers when I connect with my clients and we're assessing certain situation sons. It always, certain situations, getting tongue tied, it always goes back to the numbers. That's always our starting point. What are the numbers saying? What are the numbers indicating? There have been times where we're about to make a decision and I'm like, let's go back to the numbers. Let's start with the numbers. At least we know that that's how the picture is looking, and then we can use the other emotional implications, other emotional, feelings and all that to decide if we go, which direction we go. And that does happen, but I always go back to the numbers as a starting point to really help to make that decision. So that is something definitely I do encourage my clients, and when we work together, to really, go through back to the numbers to decide, is this worth it, is this not worth it. So just to recap with the clients who will drain your cash flow: number one, the clients who are constantly asking for discounted job prices. They want to pay you less than what the market is saying. And it's not about you're going to reduce the scope of what you're going to offer. No, they want the same scope, everything, but they want to pay less. Beware of those clients. They will drain your cash flow, especially when at the discounted price level the job is not profitable anymore. So definitely beware of those clients. Beware of the clients who do not pay you on time. They're constantly late. It's not a one-off situation. They are constantly late. That is draining your cash flow. The clients who are very disrespectful to you or your team members, they are, wanting to just be very harsh and just not nice. Beware of those clients. They will drain you. They impact your mental health, your mental well-being, and you want to be protecting all areas of your body, right? The avenues to your soul, as the Bible says. You want to be so very careful about that. So you want to ensure that you have systems and a protocol in place for handling clients like those when they cross the line. What do you do? What happens? The fourth one we spoke about was clients who want to change the scope of work agreed upon without paying any additional monies. And this is something, it happens a lot, especially think if you're building a house and you're like, I wanted this, and they say, can you do this, can you add this in, and they don't want to change the price, right? And I know depending on what's happening with the numbers, sometimes it's okay, but beware of those times when it's not okay. Make sure you have a guideline that, okay, if it's some of these items, it's okay, it's not that much, we'll throw it in. But some of the bigger items, we have to go back to the drawing board. Make sure you have that set up in your business so that it's very clear, especially at times as your business grows. You might not be the only one on at the negotiating table, so you want to make sure that your team is very aware of what the parameters in which they can operate and negotiate. What are the changes that can be done? It's just like when I was in the hotel industry, like some of the managers, they had an allowance in which they could, okay, offer certain discounts. They have a threshold in which they can operate and make decisions. So apart from outside of that, they can't give a certain discounts. It's standard for companies to set that up with their managers. Okay, you can offer this, that. There's a protocol there. So in the same way, you want to ensure that your team, especially if you're not at the negotiating table, are aware of what additional items can they throw in for scope and all that. So pay attention to these clients as CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs. And again, it's not always about severing ties completely. It's about most times just going back to the drawing board, having discussions with your clients, effective communication, being aware of where they're coming from, right? And being clear about where they're coming from, making sure, ensuring that they understand where you are coming from also as a business owner. So that's our talk for this video. Those clients that will drain your cash flow, pay attention to them, be aware of them, and be on the lookout for them, and ensure you have systems set up to manage these clients and these situations. This is Kersha Campbell, your cash flow maven, passionate about helping business owners move from chaos to cash flow, saying goodbye to financial chaos, overwhelm, frustration about the state of your business, and being ready to move forward to greater levels with cash flow wealth and creating a business of value. Thank you guys. Bye.